Let's talk about aspects of some of the damage at the university. Ujala Satgoor is the Executive Director at the University of Cape Town Libraries. A very good evening to you, ma'am. Thanks indeed for joining us. I really hope that you're all safe there. And I understand there are quite some special collections, including significant African studies collections that were lost in the fire. Can you tell us more on the extent of exactly what was damaged?
Thank you, and good evening to you and the listeners, and thank you very much for having me on your show. The fire has really devastated the scholarship of the university, in that our Jagger reading room was completely gutted. The collections therein were completely destroyed. The major part of our African Studies monographs collection, that is the book collection, was damaged as it was housed within the Jagger reading room. And that numbers at least about 70,000 items. The 25% that was not damaged was housed in other parts of the Jagger library, and thankfully today we were able to ascertain that that was not damaged. The other major loss for us is obviously the African film collection, which is a collection of about 3,500 films, and they include documentaries, they include commercial films, etc., but based on African content and about Africa as well. And a significant percentage of our government publications library was also located temporarily within the Jagger reading room, because we're also in the process of refurbishing our government publications library. And it was just a quirk of nature or of fate that this fire happened, and these very significant collections were destroyed. In addition to that, there were several works in progress, in the sense that there were items that were digitized and were being prepared to return to their normal housing, and that would be a strong room or in the basement or off-site, or materials that were being prepared for digitization, materials that were identified and brought out of strong rooms, etc., for scanning and email and based on scholarly requests. So I think there were unexpected damage that was incurred as well. We're also identifying what was the residual damage in terms of water, and we can definitely say today that a lot of material is undamaged. We're very grateful for that, and I think that every day we will unearth new things and new perspectives of how extensive this damage is. But we will at some point develop a complete list of all the materials that was lost, but also materials that have been salvaged.
Do we have any idea how many volumes of works this is that has been damaged in this fire, from what you've been able to collate?
Well, like I mentioned earlier on, the African Studies collection, I think that would number anything between 45 and films. For collection, you're looking at about 3,500. Government publications, I cannot tell you exactly how many that would be, but you're looking at several million rands worth of materials. And in some cases, we cannot put a price to it, because the African Studies collection included materials published prior to 1925, and that it was also a collection that was developed from 1953. So you cannot assign a modern day cost to those particular items, etc. So we're looking at considerable loss here, but there has been a groundswell of support globally from global entities, institutions, and we will rebuild this collection.
In fact, about 2 hours ago, I saw a statement coming from the Thabo Mbeki Foundation as well. Ujala, I think we're just really trying to understand, what do these collections contain, and what is the significance of this? You're saying this runs into a couple of million. Let's just get a greater understanding of exactly what are we talking about here.
Okay. The African Studies book collection is of great significance because it complements and supplements African studies as an academic program. It represents thought leadership. It represents the entire gamut of subjects being included for study from an African perspective. And it was one of the most unique collections that addressed that, from contemporary thought to historical perspectives as well. So you had materials from the social sciences, the law, the geographical studies, gender studies, media studies, etc. So it included the entire gamut of an academic perspective around African studies. So this significance is of great value for academic scholarship, for research, but it also allows a young undergraduate, I'm not being ageist here, you could be an undergraduate at any age, but it allows even an emerging student to delve into the past academically, intellectually, and be able to see what relevance is it to the present, and what are the potentials for the future. And so the academic and intellectual project has been seriously compromised by this particular loss.
Ujala, I'm very sad to hear that, but thank you very much for shedding some light on exactly what it is that was lost there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. I hope you're able to salvage at least some of what is left there. Ujala Satgoor, the Executive Director of the University of Cape Town Libraries, joining us here on the program.